Very good morning to all the students of class ninth. We were doing this lesson, The Happy Prince. We are going to continue this in this tutorial. I hope you all are taking care of yourself in this COVID pandemic time. And as you know that there has to be some precautionary measures to be taken from your side, wearing mask, and whenever you are going in public places, make sure that you are 6 feet away from others. You are maintaining 6 feet social distancing. If you are following these two things, then definitely it is a very good preventive measure, and I hope that you are following these rules, these measures. I just want you, all of you, to take care of yourself, take care of everyone at home too. So let's begin the lesson. I am beginning to be appreciated, he cried. This is from some great admirer. Now I can finish my play, and he looked quite happy. So when the happy prince instructed the little swallow to give one of his precious stone to the playwright, he did so as per the instructions of the happy prince, and when the playwright found it, he was very happy. He thought that this precious stone has been from a great admirer that he has. And he quickly said that now he can finish his play. Now it was the time for the swallow to bid goodbye to the happy prince. He said, I have come to bid you goodbye. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you not stay with me one night longer? It is winter, answered the swallow, and the snow will soon be here. In Egypt, the sun is warm on the green palm trees, and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazily about them. The little swallow told the happy prince now it is finally time for him to go, because the snow will soon start and it will be too cold. Then it will be very difficult for him to go from there. So it is time for little swallow to go, because his friends are also waiting there in Egypt. The happy prince couldn't overcome the pain and the sufferings of his people. He found another girl who's known as the little match girl. She has a lot of matches with her, but by mistake, all these matches fell into the gutter, and all these are spoiled. If her father will going to know that she has let all her matchsticks fell into the gutter, he will be very angry, and he will in fact beat her if she doesn't bring money home. They are very poor, and for them, some amount of money it's too much. And the happy prince couldn't see the tears, couldn't see the condition of the match girl. She has no shoes, no stockings, and her little head is bare. Pluck out my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. Now, the happy prince had already sacrificed as one of the one of the sapphire to the playwright, and he was left with an eye, with one sapphire only on one of his eye. He wanted to let go of that sapphire also to the match girl, because he couldn't bear the pathetic condition, the poor condition of the match girl. I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but I cannot pluck out your eye. You would be quite blind then. The little swallow was himself too kind, and do this couldn't do this deed to make the happy prince blind. He knew that if he's going to take out the remaining sapphire out of the eyes of the happy prince would become blind. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. Though the swallow felt really bad, but the prince ordered him, commanded him. Therefore, the little swallow couldn't say anything and did as per the instructions of the happy prince. He plucked out the prince's other eye and darted means moved quickly down with it. He swooped past the match girl and slipped the jewel into the palm of her hand. And when the little girl looked at that jewel on her hand, she uttered, "What a lovely bit of glass!" She ran home laughing. The swallow came back to the prince after handing over that remaining sapphire to the match girl. He told that you are blind, you have become blind, and I am going to stay with you always because I couldn't leave you like this. I couldn't see you spending your life here and being blind, and I couldn't leave you at all. The little swallow, being a very kind bird, he couldn't leave the happy prince alone. "No, little swallow," said the poor prince, "you must go away to Egypt." "No, I will stay with you always." And he slept at the prince's feet. The happy prince wanted the swallow to go and live his life with his friends. All the next day he sat on the prince's shoulder and told him stories of what we had seen in strange lands. So every day now it became a habit of the little swallow to describe him whatever is happening all the day from morning till night. Whatever he was watching there in a city, he would be telling everything to the happy prince, as the happy prince now couldn't see himself. "Dear little swallow, you tell me of marvelous things, but more marvelous than anything is the suffering of men and women. There is no mystery so great as misery. Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there." So the happy prince told the little swallow that you have been telling me wonderful things. You have been telling me lovely things of my city, but I know a lot of people are suffering. Jijo, you go have a round of my city and tell me what is happening, what you see there. So the little swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making merry in their beautiful houses while the beggars were sitting at the gates. So the first thing that he saw was the rich people. They were having beautiful time in their houses. They were having jolly time. They were enjoying. And while the poor people, they were sitting at the gates. He then further flew into the dark lanes and saw the starved children looking very tired and without energy at the black streets. And then, after moving even further, he saw two boys under the bridge who were lying in each other's arms, and they were trying to keep each other warm. And they were very hungry. "You must not lie here," shouted the watchman, and they wandered out into the rain. And when Little Swallow heard the watchman shouting on both the boys who were just sitting there and making themselves warm, he felt very bad. He flew back and told the prince that what all sufferings, what all pain that he had seen the whole time. The happy prince was covered with fine gold. He commanded the swallow, "You must take off leaf by leaf and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy." Leaf by after leaf of the fine gold the swallow picked off till the happy prince looked quite dull and grey. He gave those fine gold to the poor, and the children's faces grew roster and they laughed, played in the street. "We have bread now, we have something to eat now," because They had this precious gold. Then the snow came, and after the snow came the frost. The streets looked as if they were made of silver. Everybody went about in furs, and the little boys wore scarlet caps and skated on the ice. Now, finally, the cold arrived. The winters arrived, and everybody started coming out with a winter uniform, winter clothes. The poor little swallow grew colder and colder because for little swallow to survive in the cold weather was very difficult. He became colder and colder. It was becoming difficult to cope up with the weather, with the cold weather. The poor little swallow grew colder and colder, but he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. Somehow, the swallow was living his life by eating the breadcrumbs of a baker's shop when the baker was not looking. He somehow was flapping his wings, making himself warm in this cold weather. But at last he knew that he was going to die. Yes, he himself knew that he is going to die one day because he couldn't survive the cold weather. But he couldn't even leave the happy prince too. He had just enough strength to fly up to the prince's shoulder once more. He came up to the prince's shoulder one last time because he had that energy only. He said, "Goodbye, dear prince. Will you let me kiss your hand?" The happy prince thought that the swallow is now going to Egypt. "You have stayed too long here, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you." They both have developed a very healthy and good relationship with each other. They loved each other dearly. They sacrificed, even this little swallow sacrificed his own life for the happy prince, and the happy prince sacrificed his everything for the lives of the people of his own city. He couldn't see the pain, the sufferings of his people, therefore, he parted away with all the things, all the precious things that he had. At that moment, a curious crack sounded inside the statue as if something had broken. The fact is that the leaden heart had snapped right in two. It certainly was a dreadful hard frost. Early the next morning, the mayor was walking into the square in company with the town councillors. As they passed the column, he looked up at the statue. "Dear me, how shabby the happy prince looks," he said. Now, after the happy prince, the little swallow After the little swallow kissed the happy prince on the lips, he fell dead at his feet. At the same time, a crack was heard. A crack sound was heard inside the statue, and that was the leaden heart, which was snapped into two. The leaden heart of the happy prince. The next morning, the mayor with his councillors was taking round of the city when he looked at the statue of the happy prince. How shabby the happy prince looked. He told the town councillors to remove this statue as soon as possible. And he also saw a dead bird at the feet of the happy statue. The happy prince, he told his town councillors to remove the dead bird and the statue of the happy prince from there. They did as per the mayor. They pulled out the statue of the happy prince, as the happy prince was no longer beautiful and no longer useful. They melted the statue in a furnace. "What a strange thing," said the overseer of the workmen at the foundry. "This broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. We must throw it away." So they threw it on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. So, when the mayor found that the condition of the happy prince is very horrible, he instructed his town councillors to remove the statue of the happy prince as well as this dead bird who was lying there. They were thrown away. The statue of the happy prince was melted in a furnace But they were very surprised to see that the heart was not melting in the furnace. So they threw the heart of the happy prince too on a heap, on a dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. At last, these are the very important and has a very deep meaning, these lines. Bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God to one of his angels, and the angel brought him the leaden heart and the dead bird. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of my paradise this little bird shall sing for even more, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me. So, at last, it has been shown very beautifully by Oscar Wilde that when God asked his angels to bring two precious things from the city, the angel brought the God the leaden heart and the dead bird. The angel found these two things the most precious. Why these two things are the most precious things? And God also was happy to the choice of the angel because these were the most kind hearted in the city. They sacrificed their own life for others. They not even for a single second thought of them. No greed, nothing. They sacrifice their life for the benefit of others, for helping others, despite knowing that after losing everything, they are not going to live anymore, despite knowing the consequences. They thought that performing good deeds, helping others is more important than their own life. They sacrifice their life for the sake of others. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of paradise this little bird shall sing forevermore, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me. So both these precious things found a best place, found an amazing place in the heaven of God, where the bird shall sing forever there, and the happy prince in my city of gold, the happy prince shall praise me. The happy prince will be there, and the little bird will, both of them will be there in the heaven with God, and they found the best place for them in the heaven because they were the kindest heart in the city. So the lesson, the message that we have got from this lesson is help others. Be a helping hand. If you have all the things with you, if you have all the facilities with you, if you think that you are in a condition to help others, you must help the needy. You must help the helpless people who are out there, who do not have something to eat, to wear, to live under. Help them. Stretch your hands with your kind heart, wholeheartedly. Help them and make their life better. Make the life of others better by your presence, by your helping hands.